Hi everybody, I'm Miss Cooksey, and today we're going to be talking about how to evaluate absolute value expressions. I'm really excited about this one because absolute value is something that really trips up a lot of students, and it's actually a really easy concept. So, absolute value is the distance from zero on a number line. Distance is always positive, so what absolute value does is it just makes any number positive. It says, how far is it from zero? Well, that's going to be a positive number, so it's going to make any number positive. So let's look at some examples. These lines on the sides of 4, that means we're going to find the absolute value of whatever's inside. They are not ones, and it can sometimes be a little confusing on worksheets because they look a lot like ones, but if it says absolute value, they're absolute value lines. So this says the absolute value of 4. Well, 4 is 4 units away from 0 on a number line, so it equals 4. Negative 4 is also 4 units away from 0 on the number line, so it equals positive 4. Here we have the absolute value of negative 4, but there's another negative sign on the outside. This tells us to evaluate the absolute value and then multiply by negative 1. So the absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4. Positive 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So the only way the answer could be negative is if there's this extra negative sign on the outside. Here are our steps for evaluating absolute value. We're going to substitute the value in for the variable, just like we were evaluating in the last video. We're going to simplify the absolute values first, then we're going to simplify the expression. So let's work on this one together. 2 times the absolute value of 3 minus x plus the absolute value of x if x equals negative 2. So we'll substitute the values in for the variables. Then we're going to simplify the absolute values. So 3 minus negative 2 is 5, and the absolute value of negative 2 is 2. The absolute value of 5 is positive 5, and now we're going to simplify the expression. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12. This is how we're going to evaluate absolute value. Go ahead and pause the video and try these 3 questions on your own. And when you come back, I'll show you the answers. Welcome back, everybody. So we are going to start by substituting these values, x equals negative 1, y equals 2, and z equals negative 3, into each of these expressions, evaluate the absolute value, and then evaluate the rest of the expression. So here we have negative 1 minus 2, the absolute value of that, plus 6. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3 plus 6. Positive 3 plus 6 is 9. Absolute value makes everything positive. Let's try this next one. The absolute value of negative 2y plus x plus z is negative 2 times 2 minus 1 minus 3. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 minus 1, which is negative 5. The absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5 minus 3 is positive 2. I really wanted to include this last one because this last one is a good example of a mistake a lot of students make. So we'll start by substituting in all of our values. So we have negative 3 minus negative 1 and 2 minus negative 2. So we substitute in for z, x, and y. Now, one of the mistakes I want to point out is this 3 on the outside. It looks a lot like a 3 that we would want to use the distributive property for. But because these are absolute value and not parentheses, we are not allowed to distribute into those terms. So we need to evaluate this absolute value first, then multiply by 3. We're not distributing with absolute value. So negative 3 minus negative 1 is negative 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. The absolute value of 0 is 0. 0 is 0 units away from 0 on the number line. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 0 is 6. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video, and I'll see you next time to start Unit 2, which is all about equations.